Stock of the day is South32, and I'll tell you why. Well, it had its production report out today, but also I asked our viewers what they would like to have as the stock of the day.
What did we think of that?
Yeah, this is for you, Ben, this is for you, Chris W., and a few others as well. So South32 shares getting hit after it cut output guidance for several operations due to wet weather and other issues in the third quarter. It's keeping its FY23 cost guidance largely unchanged, as well as FY group capex, while saying it remains on track to meet its FY23 production guidance at the majority of its operations. Quarterly metallurgical coal production was down on the quarter, copper significantly higher, up by about 7% year to date. Australian manganese achieved record production, but as I said, overall March quarter production came in lower than expected. Now the company is talking up improved market conditions, which have supported higher prices, saying it's seen especially strong prices at its hard coking coal and manganese divisions. So there you go, stock of the day for you guys out there, South32. Gaurav, is today's pullback in share price potentially a buying opportunity?
We've owned South32 a lot in the past. We bought it when it first floated. I bought it when it halved after that, and when it fell further after that. So we know this company reasonably well, and it's a company I've said before probably has the best management in global mining. It's set off the entire trend of focusing on financial returns before you start focusing on volume, which now every other major miner mimics. But it began with South32. I like this business. We've owned it in the past. I don't think the value is quite there yet, although I am surprised at the strong reaction at today's announcement, which I didn't think was all that surprising. We knew there was wet weather. I think the market would have been aware of the conveyor belt issue in Brazil, which brought down production from over there. Everything else wasn't too bad. We've had strong manganese prices, as you mentioned. I think aluminium and alumina, which is a huge driver of South32, has been a little bit weak. But for me, that's the opportunity in South32. I actually think that's the segment of the market that looks most interesting. We own alumina because it's a more pure exposure to that, and that's like you call that the bonus buy of the day. I think that's completely bombed out, unloved, and a better opportunity. But if you're in South32, they have a really good long-term plan that they're executing. Everything appears to be on track. They've started copper production from their new acquisition in Chile. Pretty happy with how things are going. It's a hold.
As Braveheart would say, hold, hold, hold. Would you?
No.
You'd be selling, would you?
In the short term, I think it's a sell. We're out of all mining stocks except for gold, and weaker commodity prices is not a surprise for me. South32 is in the top 5, right, without a doubt. It's bad BHP. Bad boys always do good. So in the longer term, I think South32 does well. I think you've got time. I think we're early in the cycle. Market is only now starting to appreciate the slowdown that comes through with, I guess, the recession cycle. Whether it's soft or hard, forget all that. There's weakness. Chinese data has been too perfect to a certain extent, but they flagged that inflation is going to 3%. And they've talked down commodity prices. We've seen things like lithium, things like iron ore come off hard. So I think there's still a bit of clarity that needs to play out in the commodity market. And if there is a wobble and US dollar starts to pick up, and commodities will take a hit. So I think you've got time, but it's a top 5 stock in mining. And in this cycle, in the longer term, you want to be there. So I'm keeping an eye on it. I think there's a lot of hot money in it. And I think they will get out, and I think there will be move. And today's move, you've got to put it in context. It's in the middle of a holiday, right? And volumes will be thin, so things will be a bit more volatile. So you've got to take that into context. I think South32 will struggle in the short term, and if you put a bad result out, and then the market is weak, you're not going to hold up as well. So you'll see more weakness. So I think you've got time, but if you look at it in the longer term, I think it's a great stock to be in, and I think the thematic plays well. But short term, I think gets weak. So I'd be selling now and coming back for a trader. But if you're a long-term player and you've been in there, I don't mind holding. It's not the end of the world.
Thanks, guys. So that's South32. Yeah, that share price is getting hammered today ahead of the market closure tomorrow to mark Anzac Day.